Welcome back to Irons United for a very special episode. We are joined by the midfield maestro. His name is Ian Bishop. He does not need any introductions, but Ian, thank you very much coming all the way from Florida to join us on Irons United's YouTube channel. Ian, how are you doing?
Well, I was great until you tried to make me sort out a Skype name and password. I struggled a little bit, mate, you know, so got there at the end.
Yeah, we definitely did. I mean, I don't know if that's a sign of all our ages together collectively, which probably destroys a couple of centuries. But anyway, like I said, Ian, thanks very much for coming on. I know you have a time difference, so we won't keep you too long, but it's definitely a pleasure for myself and Alf to have you on. Let's just get straight in and about some of the current situations, or even before we do that, Ian, can you give us, the fans out there, a rundown of what your current situation is, where you are, what you're doing?
Oh, well, I'm in Florida. I've actually developed a training tool for grassroots football, and I'm almost getting it to market right now. I've been working on it seriously for the last 4 years, but I had the idea about 10, 12 years ago. But I've been working on it seriously. I work with a company in Pittsburgh. We got it ready. All the packaging's done. I'm dealing with investors right now, and almost going to get it. I'm looking maybe if I can to get it out for Christmas. If I don't, I'm going to look stupid. But it's there, all finished, complete, ready to go. I'm doing a little bit of coaching. I'm just going down, putting some training sessions on for a friend at his club up in Palm Beach as well. I've actually just signed with an agency in Atlanta to try and get some TV work down in South Florida. So hopefully that'll work out. It could be a big year for me, you know. But other than that, you know, I'm playing a little bit of golf, riding me Harley a little bit, and
good man.
Trying to get to the poker table when I can.
What about dusting those boots back off the shelf and getting yourself back over to London, getting yourself a lovely cheeky contract with West Ham and helping the lads out?
Hey, look, it'd be one thing dusting the boots off. I couldn't oil the knees. But I mean, I have lads here. Most of the lads I played at Miami with, we still meet up and go and have a pint, and they play like over 50s, over 45s, whatever they are. I'm over 50, obviously. Yeah. But if I play, which I do want to, I can get through the game, but I suffer for 2 weeks with my knees blow up, and I don't know whether the pain is worth it anymore. It was definitely worth it for Nobes' testimonial, I'll give you that. And I think I was the oldest outfield player there, I think, at 50 years old. So
yeah.
But another assist.
Yeah, you'll take that. You'll take that.
It also, I mean, I put it on a plate for Dean Ashton's bicycle kick. I'll tell you that.
I tell you what a goal that was, and that was a great day out. I take it you enjoyed that, meeting up with some of the old mates and
some goal. It was like, but when he landed, it was like Jurassic Park in the glass.
That's so great.
He'll kill me for that. He's going to Florida anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Something else about the Nobes game, just something else. I mean, since I finished playing, since I retired, I was haunted by this dream. I'd get at Upton Park, and to be honest with you, it was never Man City. It was always Upton Park. I'd be there before the game because I felt I left without completing everything, if you know what I mean. Yeah. I'd be in the tunnel, and I'd have my kit on and be ready to go and look down, and I'd have no boots on. I swear, and I had this nightmare. It must have been, I don't know, 15 years. I was having it for maybe at least 2 weeks. I couldn't find my boots. The boys would go out, and I'd be left in the dressing room.
Oh, God.
Really, I swear, it drove me mad. Yeah. And then I haven't had it since Nobes' testimony.
Right, okay.
And that's the truth. I haven't had that dream since.
Well, Ian, I mean,
it's the team and you needed to exercise, mate. You know, that one last outing, that was it.
There you go.
Yeah. Ian, I suppose that brings us on nicely to Upton Park, I suppose. I mean, you've got some fond memories of there playing under many different managers. I think was it 3 or 4 different managers in your career?
Lou signed me. Lou signed me. I'd just come from getting Mel Machin sacked in Man City, actually. And then he got Lou sacked. Yeah. And then, Billy came in and only lasted, a couple of seasons. Yeah. But he was great. Like, there's no other man in football like Billy Bonds, trust me. Yeah. For everything, you know. The man that he is, the person that he is, you know.
Can you describe them being managed by Billy Bonds? I mean, for any of the fans out there, we know he's top class former player for West Ham legend. What was he like as a manager?
No, he was fantastic. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. He needed Harry alongside him to do the other side of it, because he was very raw. In some respects, I would say too honest to be a manager. But I mean, look, we'd go in every morning. He led by example. He was like Julian, Julian trained how we played.
Yeah.
Billy led by example. He'd be first in the training ground and probably last to leave still, even when he was a manager. And we'd come in every morning, you just hear this boom. It'd just be like a boom, and you wouldn't know what it was. You'd go through the weights gym, you'd go into the gym itself, and Billy would have a ball against the wall, block tackling it. And that would be the boom, the noise of him tackling the ball against the wall. This was when he was manager.
Yeah,
and he was probably still the third fittest person at the club then.
Wow.
He just, he just the character of the man, and for me, what he did and the loyalty he showed to the club.
Yeah.
I felt like I needed to do the same, I've said in the past that I had opportunities to leave, and I didn't want to play anywhere else. I didn't want to leave Upton Park. I didn't want to come away from them night games and the lights and the camaraderie that we had in the dressing room, and the relationship with Billy and with Harry in the beginning, because don't get me wrong, I had Harry as my manager at Bournemouth also, and he gave me freedom. He just said to me, go and do your stuff. He never gave me any orders, instructions. He just said, go and do your stuff. The thing with Billy had made me captain also, so he showed a faith in me, where it wasn't natural to give the captaincy to a so-called creative midfield player. It was always your rough centre-backs or your hard-tackling midfield players or whatever. And for him to give that leadership to me, it said a lot, what he thought of me,
Do you think the current West Ham team, we're lacking leaders right now? That sort of, yeah,
big time, mate. Nobes is out there and he fights for the cause, doesn't he? But unfortunately, sometimes, like I said earlier, it becomes the scapegoat if things haven't gone quite right, And he is a natural, isn't he? He's a natural, but you can't survive with just one these days. I've been coaching kids here for 12 years, and I don't like giving a captaincy out because I expect them all to want to lead,
Yeah.
And it's no different at that level. You can't really compare the kids to the Premier League, but it is the same. It is the same when you do need them leaders, and obviously we all have our ideas of who should be out there, who shouldn't be out there. Right now is a transition for us, and I hope they give him time. And I know David Moyes wasn't a favourite of everybody, but I think towards the end, that honeymoon period, at the end of the day, he found the niche of Arnautovic playing down the middle, which worked for us. And I think he could have built on that.
Yeah.
But obviously the pressure of the club, which it is now, fans expect the owners to go and spend money and for us to be competing for trophies. That had to bring in a big name manager. Doesn't always work, does it? I thought Koeman was going to do it at Everton. He bought players, he had the right system, wanted to play the right way, and it didn't work for him. And I hope it doesn't happen with Pellegrini. He's such a lovely fella as well. If you don't have that outgoing personality on the touchline, you have to have it on the field, And the big thing for me is, whether it's Upton Park, whether it's the London Stadium, it's a field. Yeah. Football pitch.
Yeah.
When you're on there, you don't know what's going on around you unless you're not 100% in the game. If your mind isn't 100% in the game, you can pick things out, you can hear things. If you're 100% on the game, you shouldn't hear nothing, see nothing, feel nothing. But I think some people are using it even as an excuse for poor performances. It's down to the 11 players on the field at one given time, and they should hold their hands up.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned obviously working under several different managers. You were obviously, part of the transition when Bonds left and under Harry Redknapp. What was it like under Harry Redknapp as another manager to be managed by?
Well, listen, like I said, I had Harry at Bournemouth, and I loved him to death. He was like a friend, like a father. He was like your best mate. We could go to him, and it didn't happen very often. When the boys were going out, we'd phone Harry up and say, "Are you coming for a beer?" And sometimes he'd come, and other times he'd say, I'm going to leave it. Sometimes it wasn't wasn't the right time, you know. But and then I would go back down to Bournemouth some weekends, you know, to see me old teammates, and we'd see H, and H would go, Bish, I'm desperate to get to West Ham. Tell Bonzo when you get back that I want to come to West Ham. So Monday morning I'd stroll in. Billy would look at me as if to say, how good was your weekend? You know what I mean? And I'd just say, I tell him all the time, I said, I was with H the weekend in Bournemouth, and Billy's desperate to come. I don't know whether it affected anything, but in the end, you know, they were best friends, weren't they? So
yeah.
And he was good for Bill at first, you know. I know there's whispers, and I don't want to get into all that.
Yeah, that's fine.
You know, I think the world of Harry. I've seen Harry since. You know, I had my fallouts with him personally. Later on, I felt I still should have been playing. And if I'm totally honest with you, I don't think he agreed with my lifestyle. I don't think I changed anything. You know, I didn't become a bad player. I was doing the same things. I never went out 2 nights before a game because they were the rules. I don't understand. You know, certain things happened. Young players were coming through, young Frank, whatever. He was getting a chance sort of ahead of me. So, I mean, last season, I'd been offered a testimonial by H and 1 more year, which would have gave me the 10 years. I felt I deserved it, you know. I've been a loyal servant to the club.
Yeah, sure.
I felt I deserved it, and he offered me it. I know he wasn't 100% about it, but we talked, and he offered me it. And that season, I think I was on the bench 23 times. Only got on the field 3 times. And for me, it was about football. It's always been about football. Now, I never wanted to leave Man City, but Howard had come in his first game, left me out. Wanted to sign Wardy, and Lou actually told me afterwards. He said he didn't want Wardy to go, so he thought if he mentioned my name in a swap deal, that Howard wouldn't let me go, so the deal wouldn't go through. But Howard said, "Yeah."
So it happened.
Once your manager said, "Yeah," what do you do?
Yeah.
You know, I was prepared to let me go. It was stepping down again. It took me 4 or 5 years to get back to the top flight. After Carlisle, you know, Bournemouth, getting to Man City when they'd just gone up. And yet I was prepared to come to a club like West Ham because of their traditions. I thought it'd be right up my street. You know, I thought I'm going to love me football there. And I wasn't wrong, you know.
Yeah.
The football, for me, look, we can even take the relegation battles. There's something about being in a fight that brings you all together. And we became close-knit friends still today. As much for the relegation fights as the survivals, you know. And then I felt like in the mid-90s, we were the squad that sort of stabilised the club. And I don't think that squad got enough credit.
Yeah, and to be honest, Ian, before you came on, we've been talking as a group, and the minute we mention you or talk about that era, which is my era in particular, yeah, it is. There was a lot of relegation battles, but there was also some decent times, some decent runs, and yeah, you did absolutely stabilise us through those tough years in the years before, and now we're into another few kind of tough years with the transition of moving stadiums.
Yeah.
Can I just ask one question? Under your first year when you came to West Ham under Lou Macari, I remember listening to Dixie talk about when Lou came in, and he said, for a lot of fans, don't really rate Lou Macari as one of our better managers. And in fact, they put him at one of the down at the bottom near enough. But Dixie had a lot of good things to say about him. I was just wondering what was he like to work for?
He obviously knew a player, didn't he? If you look who he brought in, he brought Ludek in, he brought myself and Trev. And Trev had a great career there as well. I think he was leading goals for 8 consecutive seasons or something. I felt for Lou a little bit. I really did, because obviously a manager brings you in, you have an allegiance to him, you want to do well for him. And I'll be honest with you, my West Ham career didn't start like a house on fire, I sort of struggled a little bit with the adjustment. And it took me about, 7, 8 games. We didn't get promotion in that season.
During that time, during your time at the club,
Trev started well. I didn't come in the same transfer.
Who was the best player you played with?
Deal. I felt like it took
Dixie,
me the next season. Well, you know what? I could say Liam, but it was only for about 7 or 8 games towards the end of his career. Just training with him and being around him. And I was an Arsenal fan as a kid, so players like Charlie George, who was my hero, 6 years old, and then Liam became it. I remember after the season, I said to him in the dressing room, I said, can I have your shirt? He went, what for? You know, we'd been going out on a pint together, playing golf, training together. I never said nothing. I said, what for? I'm telling you.
Yeah. So
then I played it, you know. So I've got one of his shirts.
Brilliant.
So Dixie for me, toughest player I've ever seen, played against, played with, and when you look now and you think about fullbacks and they say, oh, it was wing backs now, fullbacks are doing it. Julian and Tim Brady were doing that then.
Yeah.
Without the recognition, you know, they bombed up and down. I think Julian got 13 goals one season from left back.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I think he was for a while there. He was stuck as like the highest goal scoring defender in the Premier League, I believe.
But that's always a difficult question as well, because when
nope.
It's not me.
Hey, shut it. Start rapping in a minute because you get other voices. No, but like different players for different reasons. You know what I mean? It's like I enjoyed Monks and Marshy being in midfield. You know, because I don't think anybody got the ball off us.
Yeah.
So for them reasons, me and Monks talked all the time. We both believe we should have played together in that sense, and a lot more than we actually did.
Yeah.
It's hard though when you're a fighting team. You know.
Yeah.
It's hard for the managers to say, okay, we'll still do it with football, you know, because as soon as something goes wrong, it's normally one of us that is sacrificed, or it's normally the playmaker, which happened on a number of occasions, which is sacrificed, you know.
Yeah.
Or it was back then. I mean, today everybody's a playmaker in every position, aren't they?
There was just to fill you in, I was mascot for West Ham back in 1996. The game that Slaven Bilic scored his first ever goal for West Ham, and you were playing in midfield, Ian, that game. But beforehand, we'd heard a story about Julian Dix when his preparation for the game was he used to soak his football boots. Was that a true story?
We did anyway. Because I mean, look, back then. I mean, it dates back to when we were probably apprentices, you know.
Yeah.
Because we'd have to wear the pros' boots and break them in for them. We'd get the black and blue toenails, but we'd have to sit in the bath with them, brand new boots. You'd sit in the bath, a warm bath with the boots on.
Yeah.
So you'd stretch the leather and all that, you know. So, I mean, we were always told that the tighter the boot is to your foot, the more feel you'd have. In the winter, your toes froze, but you couldn't do it. Imagine going out with soaking wet boots in the winter.
Yeah.
By half time, you couldn't feel a thing anyway. But he did, yeah. And that's as well as his packets of crisps and cans of Coke before he went out.
Yeah, and other stories about Alvin. Was it Alvin Martin with the Mars bars or something like that? Or maybe Martin Allen?
Yeah. And there's some people would put the left sock on before the right sock. And
Did you have any? Did you have any in particular?
My thing at Upton Park was I never went out for a warm-up. I never went out onto the pitch before the game. I didn't want to dilute that feeling when I came out. I wanted to run out to I don't know if you remember, I always broke the line and sprinted when I came out because I heard that noise and it got me up, you know what I mean? I didn't want to be out there and watch the crowd filter in. It was for me, I warmed up inside on my own, or with Julian sometimes, while he was eating his crisps. Not stretching, he didn't stretch, didn't warm up, didn't stretch really. I was still the best player. And other things I could tell you about the away trips with it.
Yeah.
I'd have me, when I was his roommate, I'd have me 6 cans of Guinness and he'd have his half bottle of Jack Daniels on the Friday night.
On the Friday night before the game.
To sleep, you know.
That helps for breakfast, yeah.
There was one time, I think we were playing Evan or Blackburn because we were staying in Haydock. And it was winter, so it was icy. I'd left my Guinness on the window ledge to be cold, right? And it was like a quadrant, like a forecourt at the Haydock Thistle. And we're walking out from dinner and I'm chatting with Harry and I look across at the window and you can see me Guinness on the window ledge. So I had to redirect Harry a little bit.
So you couldn't see into the room.
Took my Guinness off the window ledge.
Oh, that's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Guinness half bottle of Jack and still be the best player the next day.
Yeah. But those, I mean, football is obviously, I mean, I'm not for the, is it changed for the worse, Ian? Has it? What's your opinion on the modern day game?
Oh, look, we get it at 7:30 in the morning here, you know, so I'm up and I don't miss a game, even after a Friday night out, set me alarm. I'm up watching a game, doesn't matter who it is. I love watching it. There's certain things that for our generation, when we talk about, we sound like the old farts that used to have a go at us, you know what I mean? Yeah. You know, there's certain aspects that I don't like. I don't like that the games are just in to bad referees. The game is accommodating bad referees instead of the other way around. It should be stopped. Okay, how long did it take for the VAR? Come in, it wasn't done right, because to me, you're still getting the same people from the middle of the field watching the VAR and giving the same decisions and getting the same results. I think it should be ex-players involved, whereas they can understand it a little bit more, you know. They can, all the nuances of the game, going like somebody pulls your shirt from behind, how do you fall forward? It doesn't, just logic isn't there, is it, you know?
Yeah, no.
The little things, I mean, okay, you need it for, let's take, I know it's still in its infancy really, and let's take the first goal in the World Cup. Griezmann dives for a free kick, gets the free kick, but he's dove, puts the free kick in, they go 1-up. Can you still take it back and stop it then because somebody's watched it and said free kick shouldn't have happened?
Yeah.
If close into it. Are we going to go too far? You know, and everybody gets confused.
Yeah, the problem is if you use VAR like that, you'll end up, you know, like American football when it takes half a day to play a game. Do you know what I mean? That's...
Well, remember, I think it was, who was it? I think it was West Brom at Anfield, and the ref was an absolute nightmare with it. He took like 4 minutes on every decision. It can be done quicker than that. It can be done in his ear.
Yeah.
In his ear. He doesn't have to come over and give it all. Yeah. And what is this now with players doing that instead of that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now,
yeah, that's the new thing, isn't it? Yeah.
I just find some of the aspects pathetic. I think the ethics have gone out a little bit out the game now. The respect between players, you know, you don't want to cheat somebody else, and then they say, "Oh, it's not cheating; it's gaining an advantage." Well, that's another way of saying, you know, you cheat, and they won't accept it. The players need to help the referees first and foremost, I think, because the refs don't know. They've never been footballers. They don't understand. It's happening in an instant for them. Okay, now they've got a little bit of help in their ear. Still getting it wrong.
Still getting it wrong, yeah.
Still getting it wrong. It's frightening.
Absolutely.
Ian, do you think within, not just West Ham, I'm talking about in football in general, do you think there's still that same team spirit like they used to in your day or in previous generations?
I didn't, Alf, and then I watched All or Nothing and seen the dressing room. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen it. I've heard about it.
Honest to God, watch it, All or Nothing. It will show you that the spirit that they have in their dressing room. I thought it was gone completely. And I only watched it about 3 weeks ago. I thought it was gone completely, and it isn't. It isn't there anyway. It might be elsewhere. It isn't there. And you can't say it's because they're winning, because it may be that creates the winning. I've been in teams that were nowhere near as good man for man, but had a bond in the dressing room that got us through. You look at the big teams used to come to Upton Park at night time. We feared nobody. We had a bunch of players in there that got on together. And okay, we went out together, you know. I think back in that day, that was a big part of the game itself. That camaraderie. A new player came in, what would you do? First thing you do, you take him out. You take him out with the boys, couple of beers, loosen up, get to know each other, laugh, joke, do stupid things if you're John Moncare, you know, run around naked, wherever you were. That would break a new player in right away, trust me.
Yeah,
but those days are gone now, haven't they? I mean, everybody's got a camera phone, and all the players are scared and ended up in the Sun or whatever, you know, on the news. You know, managers don't like it, owners don't like it. So all of a sudden, they've all got their own private party houses now, and
there's too many groups now, isn't there?
Yeah,
you can't do this, you can't do that, or this group will come out and have a go. Like, what else have they got to do? Nothing.
Yeah,
right, you know. Look, at the end of the day, I had the thing with Billy. Billy once said to me, "How can you run around a field with a smile on your face?" I went, "Well, because I love doing what I'm doing. Is there anything wrong with that?" And then he'd say, "Well, you know, if we did have a little incident," he said, "Oh, somebody phoned in and said you were out last night." He'd say, "You know, you're a role model and all this." I said, "Bill, I'm a man first. I have a life. And I'm a footballer second. I love football more than anything, but I'm a person first and I'm a footballer second."
Yeah. And also maybe a couple of Guinnesses before they give you a cheeky smiles.
I actually crossed Bill once, and he said, "If you've got a problem with me, let's sort it out in the gym." I said, "There's no problem." don't even know what you're talking about. But that was the way he dealt with it. That was the way he dealt with it.
Yeah.
And to be fair to him, to be fair to Bill, I think it was Charlton at home, and I had a shiter. Am I allowed to say that, by the way?
Yeah, of course you are.
I had a shiter. I was having a shiter in the first half, and I knew that. And came in at half time, had the tour, went back out second half. I think they kicked off. Ball went out of play. Subbed me. I walked off. I had a few words with him, called him a few names, went straight down a tunnel, grabbed my keys, went into the car park. I was going to storm away, and my car was blocked in.
Oh.
It's
just typical. Yeah.
Come back in. Snuck back in. Anyway, I managed to get Charlie, the car park fella, to move a few cars for me. I got home. Monday morning, I was dreading it. Walk in. Bill says, in the office, okay. He went, is that right? You called me this and called me that. I said, yeah, I did. He said, why? I said, Bill, coming in at half time. We go out, kick off the second half. Not even a minute, and you drag me off. How embarrassing do you think that is? Why don't you just drag me off at half time? Yeah. I said, you really humiliated me. I was angry. He went, Bish, fair play. I said, I didn't think.
Yeah, wow.
Must have been scared of me.
It was your manly stature. That's what it did.
But that's the thing. When you did go in the gym, you'd see the hole in the wall where he'd been block tackling, so that put the fear of God into you.
Yeah, God, you probably wouldn't get that nowadays. Ian, back on, I suppose, to the current situation, but with the move from Upton Park to the Olympic Stadium, it's just always good to get a kind of someone who's got an affiliation with Upton Park. But first and foremost, what was your take on it, and how do you feel that West Ham can transition from that process?
Well, I felt at the beginning, more seats, more noise, spur the lads on. It was, look, I think what builds into it as well is the way we left Upton Park as well. That last game, who it was, the way the game went. We were all there, and it was a party atmosphere, but sad. And then I think, okay, the club needs to move on. I watched Man City do it, didn't I? Because I had my time at Main Road. A little bit sad when he moved. They've made the Etihad fortress, haven't they? And when you go there, the atmosphere is tremendous. Honestly, It's fantastic. But it would be if you're playing that way and winning every game 5 or 6-0 as well. So it needs to be both. Like I say, if it's happening on the field, you'll forget about the problems. It is too far away when you're used to Upton Park. It is too far away. But like I said earlier, it's a football pitch.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you are. I had a spell when, like I said earlier, Harry was leaving me out. I was playing with the kids in the reserves, just me and the kids, the under 18s, whatever they were. And we'd be playing at Southend with like 200 people there. And on the Monday, Harry would come in and say, Bish, come in. Oh, okay, what is it now? He'd go, listen, I was at the game and your attitude is tremendous. The way you guide the kids along and give everything all the time. I said, Harry, it's not attitude. That's as soon as I pull my shirt on, playing football. It's what I do. There's nothing else around me. It's that green, that round thing, and the opposition. Mm. So it should still be like that.
Yeah.
The players are coming in, they're not really knowing the traditions, not really understanding. But that's also for the manager to find the right characters to bring in as well,
Yeah.
If there is issues, which it's well documented that they struggled at home, and it's for the manager to think, okay, who do I get in? Who do I bring in? You got to be looking at the likes of Nobes, and I know he's not everybody's favourite, but Andy Carroll, when he's fit, he goes in, he bustles and batters people about, and in my eyes, there's too much work for a centre forward. If he did a little bit less of the donkey work, chasing back and working, and it's natural, that's in you. If he did a little bit less of that, I think he'd be a better player all round, saving himself for going forward.
Yeah.
But you need them characters. It needs a Julian Dix. He wouldn't have let that happen if he was out there on the field, would he?
Yeah.
No. He would crowd in a certain way.
Does that what was your, I suppose, maybe within reason, but what was your take on the Bilic, and he brought Dix in and the coaching staff, and what was your thoughts on that appointment, and then obviously his route out of the club?
I thought it was the perfect combination. I don't know Slaven's assistants too well, but I know Slaven had achieved a certain amount of success in management, and and being a West Ham player, I thought it was perfect. And then to bring Julian as your minder, who else would you want? You know, I just... and you know, that season where I think it sort of hurt him doing so well so soon. Because now there's expectations, now people think this is it, we're going to build on it. And as we've seen, it doesn't always work like that. It was great for me, you know, I mean, when I came back to see him and to know Julian was still part of the club, you know. And he was still part of the club before that because he was coaching the ladies team. Yeah. Which it just tells you a lot about him, you know. Yeah. He wanted to be associated with West Ham, and whatever way he could, he did, you know. I mean, if I was invited back, I spoke to Slaven actually. I mean, I don't have my coaching badges. I'm one of them old-fashioned people that, okay, if you don't want me knowledge, why do I have to go and sit some coaching course for a year? Yeah. When I can tell you about football, you know, I felt like I coached on the field. I felt I was one of them players that organised on the field. I wasn't one of them players that, because you do get some players, they couldn't put a training session on. You know, they may have played 600 games, but still couldn't put a session on. And I wasn't one of them people. It's sort of part of the reason why I ended up here in the States. I sort of got away from the game for a little bit, you know. I didn't agree with what was happening. I spoke to Slav, and he just said, look, let's give it a year and then see where you are. If you fancy getting your badges and that, would you think of coming back? And I said, well, of course I would. Yeah. With the right coaching staff, working with the right people, going back to that club would have enticed me away from the sunshine and the beach. A little.
That's a tough one, though, isn't it? Really, when you try and weigh them up, you know. Alf, you were going to say something.
Can I just ask you something? You know, you just touched on something there when Slav and Julian were working together, and Julian's come out and actually said, you know, the way they performed when the first season at the London Stadium, and then just before Slav got sacked. You know, he was really down on a lot of the players who thought let the clubs down, let themselves down.
Yeah.
Do you think he'd be right in saying that? I mean, I suppose what I'm trying to say is it easy for a player to let themselves down or let the club down? Do you think there is like this big conspiracy that players are just down in tools, or do you think it's like, you know what, it's just one of those things, you know?
Look, there's a spell, and some players, when you think about the game itself, it changes who's in the driving seat. You know, it used to be the chairman and the board of directors, and then it switched and became the players, or the players' agents more than the players. And when you see players playing up like that, or think, I worried about some of the players that he brought in or that have been coming in over the last year or so, especially from the bigger clubs, knowing that, can you do it down there? Can you show the same attitude? You know, let's say Chicharito's been used to chances on a plate at Real Madrid, Man United, but it's not going to happen so much. My worry was, is he going to fall away, or can you see another side of him that he shows that he's this character? Because look, when you look back to our era, half of our team could have played in the top teams. Half of our team individually could have at least played in one of the top 6 teams. I felt we were good enough. Yeah. But we were down there fighting all the time, and you don't get the recognition. But we fought, you know. We had that battle in us, and I think when you look at the likes of Slaven and Julian, who come from my era, for them players, the disappointment, you could see it. They couldn't understand why some players didn't care as much. And I don't think they care as much. They don't have that affinity to the club. You know, you see Arnautovic now, every time he scores, that gets the fans going. At least he's doing it, but you still see him disappear. You know, things have got to go right for him as well. I think he could be a fantastic player for any team. And I think it showed at Arsenal when he went off. It was a mental thing. He went off. I know they got a lucky deflected goal and then scored in the 90th minute, but the team itself in general changed. Just the whole body language and everything changed because of him. You need more of him. And they're all capable of being it. It's just some of them can't push themselves or lift themselves to do it. And that's natural. Some of them are just used to things going their way. And you get found out as a player, and he will get found out as a manager. I know he's won the Premier League, but this will be a test for him. Yeah. Can you go down there put a bunch of players together with not the budget that you're used to and make it work. And I think he will. I really do. I really believe he'll make it work. I know he's got the squad to make it work. He's just got to find that formula, that gel. And I honestly believe it will. I think we'll end up top 10. I know it's a terrible start, but you look at Palace last season. I think they lost the first 7, didn't they? There's no excuse. You've got to be looking at them first 4 games and saying, okay, you maybe excuse Liverpool, but you never go into a game thinking, we're not going to win this. You can maybe excuse Liverpool. Arsenal a little bit unfortunate, but I guarantee they should have been looking at that saying, we're probably going to be sitting with 7 points or so. You could win your 2 home games, or you should do, against teams you think are going to be fighting with you.
Yeah.
And I think the way Arsenal is right now, they're a bit soft. I think they could have gone there and won, or at least through there. And I think they should have been saying, we should be sitting on 7 points now. But nothing's a given, is it? You have to work for it. Yeah. And like I said in the beginning, endeavour. If you don't put that work in, which I've seen, if you don't put that work in, I've seen in the 4 games, some people just floating around.
Yeah,
you're not going to get anything. You can't carry passengers. Not one.
Yeah. I think possibly that's what a lot of the fans are seeing, through a lot of the players. We just haven't got enough fighters in there, enough grafters in there. It's as you say, there are too many, especially of our newer players. They're just sort of walking around. They're just.
But there's no excuse for anybody. I don't care how gifted you are. There's no excuse for you not to work. We can excuse your lack of ability. You can't excuse your lack of work and endeavour. And I don't care how good you are. You can put that shift in. Still, even if you're not good at it, even if you're not good at winning the ball back, you can still. We don't close people down. We drop off. We let them have it and get picked apart a little bit, But I'd like to see us press a little bit further, press a little bit harder, try and win possession further forward, and then we've got enough creative players, to make things happen. But missing Lanzini, no getting away from that. Anybody would miss Lanzini, but that's not an excuse. Not with the players he's brought in,
And with the players that he has brought in, Ian, maybe they haven't hit the ground running. Are there any in particular that you do think that will change as the season goes on, and the one you're probably most looking forward to seeing progress?
I think he was one of the biggest culprits in the Bournemouth game, Talib Anderson. But playing out on the left when he had Snodgrass on the right, it was in a 4. I think it was a wrong formation for him. I think he's got more ability than to be stuck out wide. I think he needs to get involved in there. I think especially while Lanzini's out, I think you can put him centrally to get involved a little bit more, where you don't need him chasing back as much. You can cover for that. He's not like a Lanzini luxury player. I think he needs to put the work in also. Where Lanzini, you can excuse him because he's going to do things when he gets it in the right areas, like Arnautovic does. He was a bit sort of stuck out wide, where I know he's played most of his career, but now all of a sudden he's in the hub of things and showing how strong and quick and skillful he is, 2-footed. I think somebody in behind him like that, Talib Anderson, I think he was one of the biggest culprits, and I did have a go, I'd like to see him come on. I think he's probably the right type of player, old-fashioned West Ham, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Football. You've got to shore things up at the back, You've got to shore things up there, first and foremost. And I think going to Everton, that should be his priority. Let's shore things up. Because we still, look, the pace of Antonio, if whoever's fit, I don't know, I haven't checked the squad out right now. Is Arnautovic fit? I don't know. When you look at what's going to happen at the weekend, it's based on who's playing, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're saying now, if you're part of a fantasy league or whatever, and or I'm part of a league with ex-pros where you predict the results every single week and then see who finishes top of the table at the end of the season. We have to now look who's in, who's out. You don't just go by team and say, okay, they're winning right now, because it creates a different dimension to everything when certain players are playing and certain players are injured.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, where would you see West Ham finishing this season? Do you see us having another battle again to survive, or do you think we'll get through this and we'll finish it off with a bit of a flourish?
I think, like we spoke earlier, before the season started, I thought we could be challenging for 6th with Arsenal, Leicester and Everton. I think now we'll still finish top 10. You look, the points gap, like last season, for Newcastle to have a little surge and finish 10th. I think we could do a similar thing, you know. I'm not saying we're going to get out of it straight away, because 12 points behind, giving people a 12-point start is going to be hard work, you know. Like I said, I think we should look to go to Everton and let's get our first point on the board, even if it is a point.
Yeah, absolutely. Ian, what would, moving away from the current season, and we're coming to the end of this show, but what would be your most memorable moment in a West Ham shirt?
Well, it sounds a bit strange, but it was a 4-0 defeat. It was the semi-final at Villa Park. I have never known a fan base anywhere I would have done that.
Yeah.
You know, understanding the game, understanding, you know, the dynamics with Gailey going off 20 minutes in, understanding that, you know, we still fought first half, 0-0. We hit the post, Georgie Paris. Could have gone in 1-0 up. It would have been a different game. Once the first goal goes in, you're chasing. The fact that Tottenham and Arsenal are playing at Wembley and we're playing on a sandpit at Villa Park also, 2 footballing teams. So, spoiled it a little bit, but the noise of the West Ham fans, constant Billy Bonds, Claret and Blue Army will stay with me forever.
I think that's amazing. Like when you ask when someone like yourself, you know, a hero, well, legend to West Ham fans, and your memory comes from, and it's the West Ham fans is your memory. It's that game where it was a defeat, you know, a semi-final, and it's just the fans that lives long in your memory.
But for me also, I was captain that year.
Yeah.
And that little boy in me, you know, everybody's dream going up the steps at Wembley. I was that close.
Yeah.
I remember the game finishing, and I remember the fans coming on and picking me up on their shoulders, and I'm going, we lost. Put me down, we've lost. You know? But it was their feeling and how they felt about us. You imagine what you're saying now, the relationship with the fans at the London Stadium, the fans and the players now, that relationship to the relationship we had back then.
Yeah.
If you put the graft in, they loved you for it.
Yeah.
But you won, lost, whatever, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Ian,
that's a shining example that could turn things around now. You find that spirit and you find that camaraderie between players and supporters, and believe me, it's got to come from the players. Something's got to happen out on that field for them to get the backing of the fans. The fans will back you. They will back you. Yeah. But it will be an extra man if they actually believe in what you're doing and see that. I don't care how gifted you are, if you're still putting the work in.
Yeah.
You know? Agree. Totally agree. Yeah.
Alf, have you got any more questions before we let Ian go back to away from?
I've actually got a whole list here. It's been. I could talk to you all night. Actually,
I'm happy, boy. I can just open a couple of cans here. That's fine.
I'm just going to put my Guinness up in the window.
I'll be with you soon. I tell you, let's do that.
Yeah, definitely. Ian, again, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much for coming on. Love to have you on in the future whenever you're free. To discuss maybe some point in the season, but like I said, as many West Ham fans will always say, you are a proper legend. We'll always remember memories.
It was good. Yeah, I always feel like I was an adopted Cockney, mate.
Yeah, and I get the feeling as well. You know, I get that feeling. But no one will remember me. They'll all remember you. That's the difference. Ian, last question before you go. The one I did forget to ask you was favourite goal for West Ham you scored.
My favourite goal?
Yeah.
I'm torn between the one at Port Vale away and Birmingham away, because it was different seasons, but they were both really important to the promotion push.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I could say Premier League goal, not that there was many, but it was the 2 promotion pushes, I think.
Yeah.
I think Birmingham, we won 2-1. I think it was right near the end. And I spoke to David Gold about it, and when I was back at Nobes' testimonial, he said that's what he remembered, you know.
Yeah.
He remembered that goal, Birmingham away. And the Port Vale one was just, I mean, we won 1-0. And I just picked it up, I don't know, 30 yards out or whatever, let fly with my left foot and flew in the top corner.
Flew in the top corner, yeah.
That was important at the time, you know.
Yeah. And again,
they were all special because there wasn't many, you know.
What was it going to say, Alf?
No, I was just about to say, I just thought one question. You touched on Charlie George and Liam Brady before. I just want, are there any other players when you were growing up or, or fresh into the game who you sort of really admired? Not only in midfield, but, anywhere on the park, really?
Well, you know what? When you look at the likes of Ian Rush, Kenny Dalglish. Growing up in Liverpool and Anfield was where I went to watch the games, you know.
Yeah.
It was more that Liverpool team of that side. Graham Souness, Terry McDermott, you know, Jimmy Case. It was, for me, it was watching them and, you know, and anytime Arsenal came to Goodison or Anfield, I was there at the game. You know, I went with my mate and his dad even when we were little. Seeing Alan Ball, you know, just you know, growing up at Everton, starting my apprenticeship at Everton and being trained by the likes of Colin Harvey, and then watching him and Howard Kendall play and listening to the stories about Kendall, Harvey and Ball, you know, being a Scouser, it's, you know, it's just, you never lose it. I mean, it's nice now if I go out, and I did for a while because I've been coaching the kids for about 13 years. For the first 7 or 8 years, I think I was still the best player. But that's what I thought anyway. Yeah. And then after like 15, 16, he started kicking lumps out of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pack it
in. Anything else, Alf?
No, I was
too many Liverpool players there, didn't I?
Yeah. You did.
No, I do actually remember Upton Park, the European nights. But I remember the foot and a half of mud. And I actually, when I made my debut for Carlisle, I played alongside Pop Robson. And he was special.
Yeah.
Even then, I think he was 39 then. I had Pop Robson and Tommy Craig either side of me when I was 19, and they did my running.
and they did your running.
Well, I tell you what, you mentioned all those Liverpool players, and one of my favourite Liverpool players of all time was probably the generation after you were talking about, and he never used to do much running at all. And Jan Molby.
Jan, yes.
I loved Jan Molby as a player. Yeah. He just sort of stood in the middle, and he just, you know, brilliant.
Yeah, you get the ball off him. I actually, when I made my debut for City, it was at Anfield, and I was in midfield. Do you remember Neil McNabb, little Scottish man?
Yeah.
Fiery, played for Tottenham, and he was brilliant, mate. So skillful. He was one of the best players I've played with, you know. Didn't get the acclaim. I mean, look, he was behind the likes of Glenn Hoddle and Mickey Hazard and all
sure,
that. You know? So, you know, sometimes you get unfortunate, don't you? Sometimes you get unlucky, you know. But before the game, he's gone to me. I've gone like, because I knew Steve McMahon, how tough he was, and I knew because I was an apprentice at Everton when he was there. And nearly went, just smash one of them. First thing you do, just smash Ronnie Whelan and Stevie. He went, just smash one of them. So anyway, so I ended up catching Ronnie, didn't I? Smashed Ronnie Whelan. He's jumped up and he's gone, first game, is it, Sonny? I went, yeah, it is, and you're going to know about it. He went, do you want to come home and see me medals? We're in the bar afterwards. I slid up to her and went, yeah, I wouldn't mind coming and seeing your medals, actually.
Brilliant. Really good. Ian, again, I know I've said this many times and we'll probably keep coming up with questions, but if we do that, we'll be here all night, literally. So I just want to massive appreciation for coming on. I'll put I'll get the video uploaded. I'll put all the descriptions in for everyone to follow, so make sure you subscribe to our channel, everyone who's watching. Get the comments in, and if there's any questions in particular, we'll get those questions to Ian and hopefully you can reply. I know you're pretty active on Twitter. Bish Blue Hammer, that's right, isn't it, your Twitter account?
Yeah, Bish Blue Hammer.
Yeah, and hopefully we won't have any problems with luck.
Don't read me tweets the morning after a beer though.
Don't worry, you don't want to see our tweets as well, I think, or maybe it's just the whole West Ham fan base. But anyway, we'll go from there. Yeah. Anyway, I've been Anton, he's been Alf, and in the middle, of course, the legend Ian Bishop. Thanks very much, Ian. Come on, you Irons.